Commander Zethkar floated in the command center of his patrol ship, watching the scanner display with 4 of his 6 eyes. The other 2 eyes stayed focused on his crew as they worked at their stations. His species, the Kethmori, had evolved this way to watch for predators on their homeworld. Now it helped him watch for trouble in space. "Commander," his communications officer called out, "we are picking up a distress signal." Zethkar turned all 6 eyes toward the officer. "Where is it coming from?" "Dead ahead, sir. About 2 light minutes away. The signal is weak and breaking up." "What kind of ship?" The officer worked at his console for a moment. "It appears to be a Zalani cargo vessel. The signal says they have engine problems and are requesting help." Zethkar made a low rumbling sound in his throat. The Zalani were known throughout this sector as slavers and pirates. They rarely asked for help unless they were in real trouble. Still, galactic law required all ships to respond to distress calls. "Set course for the signal," he ordered. "But keep our weapons ready." "I do not trust the Zalani." His ship moved through space toward the source of the signal. As they got closer, Zethkar could see the damaged vessel on his main screen. It was a large cargo ship with burn marks along its hull. One of its engines was completely destroyed. "Scans show the ship has life support," his science officer reported, "but their main power is failing. They have maybe 6 hours before total system failure." "Any other ships in the area?" "No, sir. We are the only vessel within range." Zethkar thought for a moment. He could leave the Zalani to die. Many beings in the galaxy would say they deserved it, but his people believed in honor, even when dealing with dishonorable enemies. "Signal them that we are coming to help," he said. "Prepare a boarding party. Full weapons and armor." 20 minutes later, Zethkar led 5 of his warriors through the airlock onto the Zalani ship. The air smelled bad like old food and unwashed bodies. Emergency lights flickered in the corridors, casting strange shadows on the walls. A Zalani crew member met them at the airlock. The alien was short and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. Like all Zalani, he looked weak and harmless. Zethkar knew this was a trick. The Zalani were cunning and dangerous. "Thank you for coming," the Zalani said in broken galactic common. "We are so grateful for your help." "What happened to your ship?" Zethkar asked. "Engine explosion during jump. Very unlucky. We carry valuable cargo and cannot afford to lose it." The Zalani led them through the ship toward the engine room, but as they walked, Zethkar heard something that made him stop. It was a sound he had never heard before. High-pitched voices, many of them coming from somewhere deeper in the ship. "What is that noise?" he asked. The Zalani looked nervous. "Just cargo. Some of our goods make sounds." Zethkar's warrior instincts told him something was wrong. The sounds were not random. They had patterns, like language. Like voices trying to communicate. "Show me this cargo," he ordered. "That is not necessary. We just need help with engines." Zethkar drew his weapon. His 5 warriors did the same. "I said, show me the cargo." The Zalani had no choice. He led them to a large cargo bay near the center of the ship. When the door opened, Zethkar saw something that made his blood turn cold. The cargo bay was filled with small cages, and in those cages were dozens of small bipedal creatures. They had pale skin in different shades, hair of various colors, and small round ears. They were clearly young, children of some species. But what shocked Zethkar most was their eyes. These creatures looked at him with intelligence. Fear, yes, but also curiosity and defiance. Some of the smaller ones were crying, but the older ones were watching him carefully, studying him. "What species are these?" Zethkar demanded. The Zalani shifted nervously. "Humans. We acquired them from a recently pacified colony world. They will bring good prices in the exotic pet markets." Zethkar had heard of humans. They were a new species recently discovered by the galaxy. Most reports said they were primitive and weak, but looking at these young ones, he did not see weakness. Even caged and frightened, they held themselves with a strange dignity. One of the older children, a female with yellow hair, spoke to him. Her voice was clear despite her obvious fear. "Are you here to help us?" Zethkar was surprised. The child spoke galactic common, though with a strange accent. How did such a young creature learn an interstellar language? He started to say, then stopped. He looked at the Zalani. "How many are there?" 47 specimens. All young and healthy. Very valuable." The human child who had spoken to him said something in what must be their own language. The other children responded, and Zethkar realized they were organizing themselves. Even as prisoners, they were working together. These are intelligent beings, Zethkar said to the Zelani. Taking intelligent beings as slaves violates galactic law. The Zelani laughed. Humans are not protected by galactic law. They are not even members of the Galactic Council. They are just another primitive species from the Outer Rim. Zethkar walked closer to the cages. The children watched him carefully. Some of the smaller ones hid behind the larger ones, but none of them looked away. Their eyes followed his every movement. He had seen many species in his years of service. He had seen fear, anger, desperation, but he had never seen anything like what he saw in these young humans. They were afraid, but they were not broken. They were planning something. He could see it in their eyes. "Where are their parents?" he asked. "Dead," the Zelani said casually. "We had to eliminate the adults during the harvest. But these young ones will adapt well to captivity. Humans are very adaptable." Zethkar felt something he had never felt before. A cold rage that started in his stomach and spread through his entire body. His people valued children above all else. The idea of killing parents and taking their young was worse than murder. It was evil beyond words. "You killed their parents?" he said quietly. "Of course. Adults are too dangerous and too difficult to train. But these young ones will forget their families in time. They will make excellent pets." The blonde human child spoke again. "Our parents are not dead. And they will come for us." The Zelani laughed. "Your parents cannot help you now, little creature. You belong to us." The child looked directly at Zethkar. "What is your name?" "I am Commander Zethkar of the Kethmori Patrol Fleet. I am Sarah. Please remember our names. Please remember we were here." Something in the child's voice made Zethkar shiver. It was not a plea. It was not begging. It was a request from one intelligent being to another. A request to be remembered. He looked around the cargo bay again. 47 children, all watching him with those strange, intelligent eyes, all waiting to see what he would do. "We need to repair your engines," he told the Zelani. "Then we will discuss what happens next." As they left the cargo bay, Zethkar heard the children talking among themselves in their own language. Their voices were quiet but determined. Whatever they were planning, he had the feeling the Zelani had made a terrible mistake. He just did not know how terrible yet. Zethkar sat in his private quarters staring at the communication screen. He had sent his engineering team to help repair the Zelani ship, but his mind kept returning to the cargo bay. The image of those human children would not leave his thoughts. He had seen many terrible things in his years of military service. Pirates, murderers, war criminals. But something about what the Zelani had done felt different. Worse. The children's eyes haunted him. After an hour of thinking, he made a decision. He activated his personal communication system and sent out an encrypted message. He was calling someone he had not spoken to in over 2 years. Dr. Yenna Koss, a xenobiologist who worked at the Galactic Research Institute. Yenna was from the Altarian species, known for their intelligence and scientific minds. More importantly, she had spent 3 years studying at something called the Human Academy before the recent conflict started. If anyone could explain what he had seen, it would be her. The communication took 20 minutes to connect across the vast distance of space. When Yenna's face appeared on the screen, she looked surprised to see him. "Zethkar? This is unexpected. It has been a long time." "Hello, Yenna. I need your help with something. It is about humans." Her expression changed immediately. She looked worried, almost frightened. "What about humans? Zeth, please tell me you have not done something foolish." "I have not done anything, but I have discovered something that troubles me. I am sending you an encrypted data packet with details." Yenna's face grew pale as she read the information he sent. Her hands shook as she scrolled through his report about the Zelani ship and its cargo. "Oh no," she whispered. "Oh no, oh no, oh no. What is wrong? They are just children. Young ones who cannot defend themselves. Zethkar, you have to get those children back to human space immediately. Right now. Do not wait. Do not hesitate. I do not understand. The Zelani say humans are primitive and weak." Yenna stood up so quickly her chair fell over. She began pacing back and forth in front of the camera. "The Zelani are idiots. They have no idea what they have done. Zeth, listen to me very carefully. Humans are not like other species. They do not just care about their young. They are bonded to them in ways that go beyond normal parent-child relationships." "What do you mean?" "When I studied at the Human Academy, I learned about their evolutionary history. They evolved as persistence hunters on a dangerous world. For millions of years, their survival depended on protecting their pack, especially their children. She stopped pacing and looked directly at the camera. Humans have something they call pack bonding. When they accept someone as part of their group, they will do anything to protect them. Anything. I have seen human parents lift vehicles weighing several tons to save trapped children. I have seen human mothers fight off predators 3 times their size with their bare hands. That seems impossible. It is not impossible. It is biochemistry. When a human's child is threatened, their bodies flood with chemicals that make them stronger, faster, and completely fearless. They call it adrenaline. But it is more than that. Their entire psychology changes. Zethkar thought about the children in the cargo bay. But these children are not with their parents. The Zilani killed their families. That makes it worse. Zeth, you do not understand. Humans do not just bond with their biological children. They bond with all human children. Every adult human considers every human child to be part of their pack. The communication screen flickered as the signal weakened. Yenna moved closer to her camera. When humans discover that children have been taken, they do not just mourn. They hunt, and they do not stop hunting until they find them. The Zilani said the parents are dead. The parents of those specific children might be dead, but there are billions of other humans who will consider those children to be their responsibility now. Zethkar felt a chill run down his spine. What are you saying? I am saying the Zilani think they captured prey. What they actually did was paint targets on their entire species. The communication screen showed red warning lights as the signal became weaker. Yenna was speaking faster now, trying to get her message across. Humans have a saying, it takes a village to raise a child. What they mean is that protecting children is not just the job of parents. It is the job of every adult in their society. But surely they cannot track the children across the galaxy. Zethkar, humans have been spacefaring for less than 200 years, but they have already spread across dozens of star systems. Do you know how they did that? They are the best navigators in the galaxy. They can track anything anywhere. The signal was getting worse. Yenna's image was breaking up. There is something else you need to know. Human military doctrine. When they fight wars, they follow rules. They have something called the Geneva Convention that limits how they conduct warfare. But those rules only apply to enemies who follow the same rules. What happens when enemies do not follow the rules? Then humans stop following rules too. And Zeth taking children is the worst possible violation of their moral code. The Zilani have not just broken human rules of war. They have done something that humans consider unforgivable. The signal cut out for a moment, then came back. Yenna's voice was full of urgency. You have to understand. Humans do not think like other species. When someone threatens their children, they do not just want to rescue them. They want to make sure it never happens again, to anyone. What does that mean? It means they will not just come for the children. They will come for everyone involved in taking them. The slavers, the buyers, the facilitators, everyone. The signal was failing. Yenna's image was mostly static now, but her voice was still clear. Zethkar, I studied human psychology for 3 years. I lived among them. I learned their language and their culture. I have never seen a species that loves as deeply or protects as fiercely as humans do. How long do we have? I do not know. But when humans decide to act, they move fast. Very fast. The signal cut out completely. Zethkar sat in the darkness of his quarters, thinking about everything Yenna had told him. Outside his window, the stars looked the same as always. But somehow, space felt different now, dangerous. He thought about the human child named Sarah and her calm, confident voice. Our parents are not dead, and they will come for us. For the first time in his military career, Zethkar was truly afraid. Not for himself, but for what was coming. The Zilani had no idea what they had unleashed, and neither had he until now. He stood up and walked to his command center. He needed to contact his superiors. He needed to warn them. But as he reached for the communication controls, he wondered if it was already too late. 2 days had passed since Zethkar's conversation with Dr. Yennikos. His engineering team had finished repairing the Zilani ship, but he had not let them leave yet. Something told him to wait, to watch, to be ready. He sat in his command center, monitoring galactic communication networks. At first, everything seemed normal. Trade ships moved along their regular routes. Military patrols reported routine activities. The galaxy continued its daily business. Then the reports started coming in. Commander, his communications officer called out. I am receiving a priority message from Sector Command. Put it through. Admiral Korath's face appeared on the main screen. The old warrior looked troubled. Zethkar, we are getting strange reports from across the galaxy. Human merchant vessels are suddenly changing course. Many of them are heading back toward human space. All of them? Not all, but many. They are claiming various reasons. Engine troubles, family emergencies, contract cancellations. But the pattern is suspicious. Zethkar felt his stomach tighten. What kind of pattern? It started about 6 hours ago. Human ships began requesting emergency docking at stations near their territory. Others are simply disappearing from trade routes without explanation. The Admiral paused, looking at something off-screen. There is more. Human diplomatic missions across the galaxy are requesting immediate meetings with local governments. They all say it is urgent, but they will not explain why. What do you think it means? I do not know. But something is happening in human space. Something big. The transmission ended. Zethkar stared at the blank screen, remembering Yenna's warning. When humans decide to act, they move fast. Over the next few hours, more reports came in. Human colonies that normally bustled with activity were showing unusual energy signatures, massive power buildups that suggested industrial mobilization. But for what? Then came the most disturbing report of all. Commander, his science officer said, I am detecting unusual movement in the Sol system. The Sol system was the human home world. Earth. What kind of movement? Ships, sir. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. They are moving away from Earth toward the outer edges of the system. Zethkar felt cold. Military vessels. Some appear to be military, but most are civilian ships. Cargo vessels, passenger liners, private craft. Even ships that were not designed for deep space travel. Where are they going? Unknown, sir. But they are all moving in different directions. It looks like they are spreading out across the galaxy. Zethkar stood up and walked to the main display screen. He called up a map of known space, showing the locations of all reported human ship movements. What he saw made his blood freeze. The humans were not moving randomly. They were spreading out in a careful pattern, covering all major shipping lanes and trade routes. They were positioning themselves at strategic points throughout the galaxy. Sir, the communications officer called out, we are receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council. Put it through. The screen showed the emergency session chamber of the Galactic Council. Representatives from dozens of species were talking at once, their voices creating a chaos of different languages. At the center of the chamber stood Ambassador Chen Wei, the human representative. She was a small woman with gray hair and calm eyes. She looked nothing like a warrior, but something in her expression reminded Zethkar of the children in the cargo bay. The same quiet determination. Order! Order! The council speaker called out. Ambassador Chen, you have requested this emergency session. Please explain why human vessels are mobilizing across the galaxy. Ambassador Chen stepped forward. When she spoke, her voice was calm and clear. Honorable members of the council, we have received disturbing reports that human children have been taken from one of our colony worlds. The chamber erupted in voices again. The council speaker called for quiet. We understand your concern, the speaker said. But surely this is a matter for local law enforcement, not a galactic emergency. Normally, yes, Ambassador Chen replied. But our investigation shows that these children have been taken by slavers operating across multiple sectors. This is not a local crime. It is an act of war against our entire species. Ambassador Chen, what exactly are you requesting? The human ambassador looked directly at the camera. When she spoke, her words were simple and clear. We are not requesting anything. We are informing the council that we are taking action to recover our children. We estimate this action will take 72 standard hours. What kind of action? Whatever action is necessary. The council speaker looked confused. Ambassador, are you declaring war? No. We are declaring that we will have our children back within 72 hours. How that happens depends on the cooperation we receive. And if you do not receive cooperation? Ambassador Chen was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice carried a weight that made the entire chamber fall silent. Then we will take our children back anyway. The transmission ended. The chamber fell completely silent. In that silence, Zethkar heard something that chilled him to his core. It was not a threat. It was not an ultimatum. It was a simple statement of fact. The humans were coming for their children. Nothing would stop them. Commander, his communications officer said quietly, we are receiving a message from the Zelani ship. Zethkar turned. What do they want?
They are asking for permission to leave immediately.
They say they have urgent business in another sector. Zethkar looked at the Zalani ship on his scanner. It was fully repaired now, ready to jump to hyperspace. Ready to take those 47 children to whatever fate awaited them in the slave markets. He thought about Ambassador Chen's calm voice. 72 hours. He thought about Dr. Yena's warning. When humans act, they move fast. He thought about the child named Sarah looking at him with those intelligent, fearless eyes. "Sir?" the communications officer prompted. "What should I tell the Zalani?" Zethkar stared at the scanner display. The Zalani ship was moving toward the jump point, preparing to leave. Once they jumped to hyperspace, they would be gone. The children would disappear into the vast darkness of space. But somewhere out there, thousands of human ships were moving through that same darkness. And they were hunting. "Tell the Zalani they are free to go," Zethkar said quietly. "Sir, you heard me. Tell them they can leave whenever they want." As the Zalani ship jumped to hyperspace, Zethkar continued to watch the galactic communication networks. Reports were coming in faster now. Human ships appearing in systems where they had never been seen before. Human diplomats making contact with governments across the galaxy. Human intelligence agents asking very specific questions about slavery and trafficking. The galaxy was about to learn something new about humanity. And Zethkar had the feeling that after the next 72 hours, everything would be different. The hunt had begun. The 72-hour deadline came and went. Zethkar watched the galactic chronometer tick past the moment when humanity had promised to act. For a few hours, nothing seemed to happen. The galaxy held its breath. Then the report started. "Commander," his communications officer said, voice tight with concern, "we are receiving emergency transmissions from multiple sectors." "Show me." The main screen filled with incoming messages from across the galaxy. Military commanders, station administrators, trade officials, all reporting the same impossible thing. The first report came from Zalani Outpost 7, a heavily fortified asteroid base in the Kepler sector. "This is Station Commander Vextar. We have lost all contact with our outer defense platforms. Repeat, all outer defenses are offline. We are detecting no ships, no weapons fire, no... Wait. Something is happening to our main computer core. How did they get inside? How did they... The transmission cut to static. 20 minutes later, another report from a Zalani slaving fleet near the Rigel system. "This is Captain Zulkan of the merchant vessel Prophet's Edge. Our entire convoy is under attack, but we cannot see the attackers. Our ships are just stopping. Engines failing. Life support shutting down. My crew is dying and I cannot see who is killing us. Please send..." Static again. Then came reports from the slave markets themselves. The hidden stations where the Zalani sold their captured beings to wealthy collectors across the galaxy. "Market Station Omega is going dark. All personnel evacuate immediately. Unknown forces have breached our security. They are freeing all the... merchandise. Repeat, the merchandise is being liberated. Security forces are down. Computer systems are failing. This is not an attack, this is a..." The message ended abruptly. Zethkar stood in his command center watching report after report come in. The pattern was always the same. Zalani facilities going silent. No visual contact with attackers. No traditional signs of warfare. Just systematic, precise elimination of the entire slaving network. "Sir," his science officer called out, "I am analyzing the attack patterns. The strikes are happening simultaneously across 17 different sectors. The coordination required for this operation is impossible." "Explain." "The distances involved, sir. For human forces to hit targets across such a wide area at exactly the same time, they would need faster-than-light communication and navigation systems far beyond anything we thought they possessed." Zethkar remembered what Dr. Yena had told him. Humans were the best navigators in the galaxy. Apparently, they were even better than anyone had realized. "Are we seeing any human ships?" "That is the strange thing, sir. We are detecting human vessels in the affected sectors, but they are not behaving like invasion fleets. They appear to be rescue ships, small, fast vessels designed for extraction operations." "Extraction of what?" "Based on the energy signatures, they seem to be optimized for transporting life forms, specifically young life forms." The communications officer looked up from his station. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from Zalani High Command." The screen showed a conference room filled with Zalani military leaders. They all looked terrified. "This is Admiral Kekstar of the Zalani Defense Fleet. the lead figure said. "We are formally requesting assistance from all galactic military forces. We are under attack by an unknown enemy." "Unknown enemy?" Zethkar muttered. "They know exactly who is attacking them." The Zilani admiral continued. "The enemy is using stealth technology we cannot detect. They are striking our installations without warning and without mercy. We have lost contact with 60% of our military outposts." Another Zilani officer stepped forward. "The attackers are targeting our commercial operations as well. Every slave market in Zilani space has been destroyed or captured. The enemy seems to know the location of every facility we operate." "How is that possible?" the admiral demanded. Zethkar knew the answer. The humans had not just mobilized their military. They had mobilized their entire civilization. Every human merchant who had ever traded in Zilani space, every human diplomat who had ever attended their functions, every human tourist who had ever visited their worlds, they had all been gathering intelligence without anyone realizing it. The humans had been watching and learning for years. When the time came to act, they already knew everything they needed to know. "Sir," his communications officer said, "we are receiving another transmission. This one is different." The screen showed a single human ship floating in space near what had once been a Zilani military base. The base was intact but dark, its lights gone out. No signs of destruction, just silence. A human voice came through the comm system. It was a woman's voice, calm and professional. "This is Captain Rodriguez of the rescue vessel Hope's Light. To any vessels monitoring this frequency, be aware that this facility has been secured. All captive beings have been liberated and are receiving medical care. Any Zilani personnel who surrender will be treated according to galactic law." Zethkar leaned forward. "Are there any Zilani left to surrender?" As if hearing his question, the human captain continued. "To the Zilani forces still operating in this sector, you have one opportunity to surrender. Release all captive beings in your custody and submit to galactic authorities. You have 30 minutes to comply." The transmission ended. Zethkar watched the chronometer count down 30 minutes. Then another transmission came from the same location. "This is Captain Rodriguez again. The 30-minute period has expired. All Zilani forces in this sector have chosen not to surrender. We are proceeding with liberation operations. What happened next took only 6 hours. Every Zilani installation within a 50 light-year radius simply went silent. Not destroyed, just empty. When galactic patrol ships arrived to investigate, they found the facilities intact but abandoned. The Zilani were gone. The captive beings were gone too, but the evidence suggested they had been rescued, not killed. "How are they doing this?" Zethkar's science officer asked. "How are the humans moving so fast and striking so precisely?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Yenna Koss appeared on the communication screen calling from her research station. "Zethkar, are you monitoring the human operations?" "Yes, I do not understand how they are accomplishing this. I have been analyzing their tactics. They are not fighting like a military force. They are hunting like a pack." "What does that mean?" "Remember what I told you about human evolution? They were persistence hunters, but they did not hunt alone. They hunted in coordinated groups using communication and teamwork to bring down prey much larger than themselves." She paused, looking at data on her own screens. "What we are seeing is not a military campaign. It is a hunt on a galactic scale. The humans have divided into small groups, each with specific targets. They communicate constantly, sharing information and coordinating attacks. When one group finds prey, the others converge to help. But the speed of their operations, that is the terrifying part, Zethkar. Humans do not get tired when they are hunting to protect their young. They do not stop to rest. They do not hesitate or doubt themselves. They simply hunt until the prey is caught." The screen showed another report from a different sector. Another Zilani facility had gone dark. Another group of captives had been liberated. "How long will this continue?" Zethkar asked. Dr. Yenna looked directly at the camera. "Until every human child is safe. Until every slaver who took them is caught. Until everyone who bought them or helped them is punished." "What about the buyers? The other species who purchased human children?" "The humans are keeping records of every transaction. They know who bought their children and where those children are now." The Zilani were just the beginning. Zethkar felt a chill run through his entire body. The galaxy was about to learn that taking human children was not just a crime against one species. It was a declaration of war against the most dangerous hunters in the galaxy. and the hunt was far from over. 3 weeks had passed since the human hunt began. Zethkar sat in the Galactic Council chambers, listening to reports that would have seemed impossible just a month ago. The Zilani hegemony no longer existed, not destroyed by war, not conquered by invasion. It had simply disappeared. Every Zilani military installation had gone silent. Every slave market had been emptied. Every government facility had been abandoned. The infrastructure is still intact, reported General Vaxton of the Galactic Defense Force. Power grids, communication networks, transportation systems, everything still works. But there are no Zilani left to run any of it. Where did they go? Asked the council speaker. Unknown. Human forces are not talking. They simply say that all Zilani involved in slavery operations have been processed according to galactic law. Zethkar knew what that meant. The humans had not killed the Zilani. They had done something worse. They had made them disappear from the galaxy entirely, but left no evidence of how they had done it. Ambassador Chen Wei stood at the center of the chamber. She looked exactly the same as she had 3 weeks ago, calm, professional, unremarkable. But now everyone in the chamber looked at her with a mixture of fear and respect. Ambassador Chen, the council speaker said carefully, the Galactic Council would like to understand the scope of human operations. How many beings were involved in these liberation efforts? Every human adult in the galaxy, Ambassador Chen replied simply. That is impossible. We are talking about billions of individuals across hundreds of star systems. Yes? The simplicity of her answer made the chamber fall silent. She was not boasting or threatening. She was just stating a fact. But how did you coordinate such an operation? The same way we coordinate everything. We talk to each other. Zethkar understood. Humans did not need military command structures or government orders to act when their children were threatened. They just needed to know that children were in danger. Then every human became part of the rescue effort. Ambassador, said a representative from the Vegan Confederacy, our security forces detected human civilians entering our space without authorization. They were searching cargo vessels and trade stations? Yes, Ambassador Chen agreed. We needed to locate our children. But these were civilians, not military personnel. There is no difference when human children are involved. The Vegan representative looked confused. You allowed untrained civilians to conduct military operations? Ambassador Chen smiled for the first time since the crisis began. Representative, every human adult is trained to protect children. It is not something we learn in school. It is something we are born knowing how to do. A new voice spoke from the chamber's communication system. It was Dr. Yenikos calling in from her research station. Council members, I have been studying human operations for the past 3 weeks. What they accomplished defies every military theory we know. Explain, the council speaker requested. The humans did not just find their missing children. They found every child of every species that was being held in the same slave markets. They liberated over 10,000 beings from dozens of different worlds. The chamber stirred with murmurs of surprise. But that is not the most remarkable part, Dr. Yana continued. The humans also identified and neutralized the entire galactic slavery network. Not just the Zilani operations. All of it. How is that possible? Asked the representative from the Centauri Alliance. Because the humans did not see this as a rescue mission. They saw it as a problem to be solved permanently. They traced every transaction, followed every credit transfer, identified every individual who had ever bought or sold a sentient being. Ambassador Chen nodded. We could not allow this to happen again. To any children of any species. What happened to the buyers? The council speaker asked quietly. They have been visited by human diplomatic teams. Most have agreed to new galactic standards for the treatment of sentient beings. Those who did not agree have found their trade licenses revoked, their assets frozen, and their operations shut down. You cannot do that. The Galactic Council has not authorized such actions. Ambassador Chen looked around the chamber. With respect, council speaker, we did not need authorization to protect children. Any children? Zethkar stood up. As the officer who had first discovered the human children, he had been invited to address the council. If I may speak, he said. I was present when this crisis began. I saw 47 human children in cages being sold like animals. But I also saw something else. The chamber fell quiet. I saw children who were afraid but not broken. I saw young beings who trusted that their families would come for them. And they were right. He paused, remembering Sarah's confident voice. Our parents will come for us. The humans did not just rescue their own children. They rescued all children. They solved a problem that the rest of us had ignored for centuries. At what cost? Demanded the representative from the Rigelian Empire. The humans acted without authorization, without oversight, without regard for galactic law. What law? Ambassador Chen asked. The law that allowed children to be sold as pets? The law that said slavery was acceptable as long as it happened in the Outer Rim? The law that protected profits more than innocence? The chamber fell silent again. She was right, and everyone knew it. The Galactic Council will need to review these actions, the council speaker said. There must be consequences for unauthorized military operations. I understand, Ambassador Chen replied. But the operation is not over yet. What do you mean? We are still missing 3 children. Sarah Martinez, age 9. Tommy Chen, age 7. Maria Santos, age 6. They were sold to a private collector who has not yet been located. The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop several degrees. We will find them, Ambassador Chen continued, and we will continue looking until every human child is safe at home. How long will you continue these operations? As long as necessary. Zethkar watched the faces around the chamber. Fear, respect, and something else. Understanding. The galaxy was finally beginning to comprehend what humanity really was. Council members, he said, I propose new legislation. Complete prohibition of trafficking in sentient beings throughout galactic space. Zero tolerance for slavery of any kind. The economic impact would be enormous, protested several representatives. The alternative is worse, Zethkar replied. We have seen what happens when humans believe their children are threatened. Do we really want to see what happens when they decide that all of galactic civilization is a threat to children? The vote was unanimous. 2 days later, Zethkar received a personal message from Ambassador Chen. It was a simple note thanking him for his help. Attached was a video file. The video showed a human family reunion. Sarah Martinez, the blonde girl who had spoken to him in the cargo bay, was running into the arms of 2 adults who must be her parents. Her face was bright with joy and relief. At the end of the video, Sarah looked directly at the camera and spoke. Thank you for remembering our names. Thank you for remembering we were there. Zethkar saved the video file and sent copies to every member of his crew. Then he issued new standing orders for his patrol ship. Any vessel suspected of carrying captive children would be boarded immediately. Any evidence of trafficking would result in immediate detention and transfer to human authorities. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Children, all children, were no longer acceptable targets, and somewhere in space human families were welcoming their babies home. The hunt was over. But the message was clear. Touch our children and we will find you. Touch any children and we will stop you. The galaxy was a safer place for the young ones now. And everyone knew who to thank for that.